Welcome to The Explainer. You know how we're always hearing these big economic numbers? Inflation is up, college costs are soaring. But what if those headline numbers are actually telling a pretty misleading story? Well, today, we're going under the hood, we're uncovering the hidden price tags that show what the economy really feels like for different people.
So let's just start with a simple question. When you hear that inflation is up, who do you think gets hit the hardest? Now, the easy answer seems obvious, right? But that's not the whole story. The reality is way more unequal than you'd probably guess.
Here's a way to think about it. A big official number like the inflation rate is kind of like a city's average temperature. Sure, it gives you a general idea, but it tells you absolutely nothing about how it feels for the person standing in the scorching sun versus the one relaxing in the cool shade. See, our economic lives aren't average, so let's dive into what that really means. So, in this first part, we're going to peel back the layers on those big official numbers to see the completely different realities they're hiding underneath. Let's kick things off with inflation. It's a number we all hear about constantly, but let me tell you, we do not all feel its bite in the same way. Okay, so take a look at this. This is a budget breakdown for a low-income household. Food and housing, just those two things eat up almost 70% of their entire budget. And these aren't luxuries you can cut back on, right? These are the absolute must-have essentials. But now, let's flip it. Check out the budget for a high-income household. See that huge difference? Essentials are just a tiny fraction of their spending, only about 35%. That frees up a ton of money for things like saving, investing, or, just about anything else they want. And this gets to the absolute heart of the issue, which the World Bank puts perfectly. When prices for necessities, we're talking food, rent, gas, when those things spike, the burden is so much heavier for the poor. It's almost like they face their own personal, much higher inflation rate because their budget is almost all the stuff that's getting more expensive.
And this isn't just some abstract theory, right? Think about something like back-to-school shopping. For some of us, it's a fun trip to get a new backpack. But for nearly a third of families, it means taking on debt just to buy notebooks and pencils. And get this, teachers often have to step in, spending hundreds, sometimes $1,000 of their own money to fill that gap. All of a sudden, inflation isn't just a number in the news. It's a real barrier to a kid's education.
Okay, now let's see how this exact same dynamic plays out with another huge headline number, the absolutely crazy cost of college. To really get what's going on here, you've got to know the difference between two things. First, there's the sticker price. That's that giant, scary number you see on a college's website. But then there's the net price, which is what a student actually ends up paying after all the grants and scholarships. And let's be real, the net price is the only one that truly matters.
And this is where the hidden squeeze comes in. So inflation hits a college's budget hard, but they can't just jack up the sticker price. That causes a huge public outcry. So what's the quieter, less visible move they can make? Well, they can quietly cut financial aid. It's a subtle shift, but it pushes the real cost of college directly onto the shoulders of the students who need that help the most.
So the result is this totally wild paradox. All this pressure to keep the official sticker price from going up can actually make college less affordable for lower-income students. It's just a perfect example of how one big headline number can completely hide what's really going on. All right, so from costs, let's talk about what we're actually earning. We're going to look behind another common headline, the wage gap, and ask the question, what is a paycheck really worth? We've all seen charts that look something like this one. It's showing the nominal wage gap, which just means the raw numbers on paper. So back in the year 2000, it looked like college grads were earning a whopping 60% more than high school grads. That seems like a huge advantage, right? Well, that's not the whole story. Now look at this second chart. This shows the real wage premium. Here's the catch. College graduates are way more likely to live and work in really expensive cities with super high housing costs. So once you adjust for that higher cost of living, that big 60% advantage, it shrinks down to 51%. The paycheck might be bigger, sure, but so are the bills. And this effect is not small. Get this. Between 1980 and 2000, a full quarter of the increase in that college wage gap was completely eaten up, just gone, because of the higher cost of living. It just goes to show you, where you live really, really matters. Okay, so for our final hidden cost, we're looking at something that has nothing to do with where you live or your education. This is about a price tag that's attached to products simply because of who they're marketed to. It's called the pink tax. And let's be super clear here, this isn't an official tax from the government. It's basically a form of price discrimination where products marketed to women, often in pink packaging, just cost more than the almost identical version marketed to men. And honestly, once you start looking for it, you see it everywhere. Pink razors that cost more than the blue ones right next to them, a woman's blouse costing more to dry clean than a man's shirt. You even see it in the toy aisle, with higher prices for girls' bikes and helmets. And on top of all that, in many places, essential menstrual products get taxed as if they're some kind of luxury item. And we're not talking about spare change here. Over the course of a single year, studies suggest this kind of gender-based pricing can cost an individual woman more than $1,300. That is a significant and pretty sneaky financial burden. So, what's the big idea connecting all of this? It's simple, really. The official numbers, the ones we see in the headlines, they tell one story. But our actual lived experiences often tell a completely different one. From inflation to college to the price of shampoo, that big number is never the full picture. And that leaves us with a final challenge. Start looking for the hidden price tags in your own world. Because if we really want to understand what's going on, we have to stop looking at just the averages. We have to start asking not just what's the number, but who is really paying the price.